Hello guys, good evening. Today is September 25th and this episode of Market Analysis and Daily Trade Recaps. As I had done last week, I'll cover half of this video to go through the market, what's market telling us, and then we will talk about today's day trades. So we'll see why there's still one warning signal while the market is bouncing. What is that warning signal and why did we overnight few names today? What are those names that we overnighted for swing which are already green after hours? We'll talk about how the semiconductors are showing some strength, banks were bouncing, and then we will talk about in our day trades how we made a nice winning profit on Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon and Netflix. And we will also see how the VIX worked out all day. So we'll talk about all this in our today's market analysis and daily day trade recaps. So stay tuned. If those who are just interested in day trade recaps can move forward from the links below. If you want to go through the market analysis, you can stay around and we'll get there. All right. So finally, some small green day on the markets today. What does that mean? Are we finally bottoming out? We don't know. One day does not make a trend, but there was definitely something interesting going on in the market. That's why I did overnight few names today, and we will talk about that in a bit. So let's see. The semiconductor sector was really doing good today, up 70%. The banks were up 0.24% today. QQQ closed 0.47 up and SPY closed 0.42 up. VIX down for the day. We will go through the VIX, the move today. We'll review that, and then we'll also review some of the move on the Chinese sectors, which was deep red today again. So let's talk about the SPY first. So SPY all day, the 430 level that we discussed last week, this level was important and it tried to break down from the last week. If I go to the weekly chart, what do I see? We tried to break down the last week's low, but it right away reclaimed that. So what we are seeing right now, bounce on a support. So what you are seeing right now is a bounce on a previous support. Does that mean we are out of the woods? I don't know, maybe not. But does that mean we can get some bounce for a trade? Yes, why not? We are due for a relief bounce. And once we'll look at the other market indicators, what are they telling us, the macro environment, and then we'll have more idea to what to look for in the coming days. So SPY, decent bounce today. I'm looking for tomorrow for the continuation. I want to see this 432 level on SPY. If that holds, I expect some decent bounce on most of the names into tomorrow. Let's quickly talk about VIX. So VIX right into that big resistance level. As most of you know, my VIX SPY strategy, we trade it every day. I've been trading it for years. I've been showing how it works for successful day trades. So today rule was simple. If the VIX rejects 18, then we are long biased. That's why we were long on most of the names. And at the end of the day, VIX broke 17. When VIX broke 17, that's when I decided that I am going to swing the rest of my positions in the room. So the VIX is giving us a signal that market wants to bounce, right? But what about the other signals? As I said in the beginning, there are some indicators which are still hot. For example, this is 10-year yield. So 10-year yield has been breaking out crazy. I did post, if you're interested to understand how yields impact our trading, what's the meaning of the yields. I did post a nice tweet today, which I will put it in the description for you guys to look at. So I did put a nice point on what's the 10-year treasury yields and how does they affect the market. So it's if you are an investor trader, you should know these things. You should go through this. I will put the description in the comments for all of you to review. But the point, just as a layman point, is when the yields are going up, it's tougher for market to gain strength because investors are getting more returns in the yields. So ideally, yield is still going up. We need the yield to break down, because this is more the yield goes up, it's tougher for the market. So that's still a critical signal, which is a warning signal for the market. But a lot of macro data is coming up later this week, next week, so probably we'll see some move on the yield. We'll see how that does. At the same time, if I see the bonds which are inverse to, they are making lower lows and they are like just getting killed, right? They're inverse to the yields. So this is where the market is. And also the US dollar has been going up crazy. You see here, it has been breaking out since I shared this downtrend line breakout. It is non-stop going up. So we do need dollar to show us some weakness so that we can have conviction in our market, long buys in the market. So that's where we are, guys. So that's where we are. So on SPY and on the bonds and the yields and the VIX. And let's look at some sectors which were outperforming today. Let's look at SMH. So SMH, we go to the semis. So here is our list of our semis in our market tracker. I'm going to go to the semis in my trading view. Let's look at it. SMCI, one of the main movers. Most of you know that I love this ticker. Also one of our winning swings in the past. We did talk about it in the room today. I missed the entry. I could not get the entry, but nevertheless, I'm really impressed by this move. And SMCI and ARM. So ARM, guys, as you know, the new IPO, it's a main, now it's a semiconductor play, and it will move with the semi sector. ARM and SMCI are the ones which led the semi sector today. I did post when I was short under 55. If you go back, watch my IPO videos, how I taught about how to trade the IPOs. When it break 55, I said we are going to see 50, and that's what we saw. And then the 50 psychological bounce, I tweeted about this morning, and that's what ARM was doing. As long as the 50 holds, consolidates, we can trade versus that level. Good trade today, good move on ARM today, as well as SMCI. So those ones. SMCI clear support here at 230, 234 level. So that's where it's bouncing from. We'll watch pullbacks if the market stays strong. Let's look at NVIDIA. This was one of our longs today. I am personally not swinging NVIDIA. I'm swinging the other names. But you can clearly see it's bouncing off this support. There is a 3-candle consolidation right here. We have some resistance on NVIDIA up here in the 430 area. So tomorrow we watch the 422s to hold, and then we can see that if it gets out of this range for more push. We'll see, right? We don't know. We know the market variables, but we'll trade accordingly. But it was good to see strength in semiconductors today. AMD is still lagging, but it is bouncing from this downward channel. If you see, there's a bounce on AMD from this downward channel. It can be a good risk reward versus this 94.95 risk. If the market gives us the signal that it wants to bounce, there's definitely it can bounce towards resistance towards 100. We'll see how that goes. The pullback area is 94.95 that it needs to hold. So definitely AMD was lagging today while the rest of the semiconductors were going. The leaders were SMCI and ARM, and we will rest of them. Qualcomm was strong today. Qualcomm was strong. MU was one of the relatively weaker names. Intel is also at a good risk reward level, bouncing off 34. If semiconductor is strong, I will like to swing some Intel as well. Just keeping it on watch, having my prices set. So guys, that was our semiconductors. Let's see what other sector was strong today and review some few of the names. So if you see, the finance was strong today right here. Let's go to our banks and finances. Let's see what was going on. JP Morgan was the best bounce today. It's very interesting the way the candle closed. It's very impressive move on the banks. No trade yet for me, but I will watch, keep an eye. Citigroup is at a decent level if the banks continue to stay strong. Goldman Sachs, City is which I like a little bit better. Bank of America can definitely give us more push. So I'm gonna set some price alerts just because financials were strong today. So I want to keep eye if the strength continues on financial, just draw some levels here for any short-term or swing trades. So other sector that was very strong today was our fintech. So let me go to the fintech sector. So let's look at fintech. So most of all, there was a big bounce in Square, still very bearish, very bearish, but even in a bearish chart, we can get a short-term trade, right? A push towards maybe 48, 50, towards this daily 8 or 9 EMA, we don't know. But whenever the sector is showing some strength, we just keep eyes on it. Square, little bounce, very heavy overall. PayPal, heavy as well. I mean, this fintech has been just crushed. But important to note that PayPal is bouncing at this 57 area, 57, 58 area. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, watching this 4 in the fintech as well versus this 53s. Usually if I like some name, I put it in my swing tracker. We did have a decent win on one of the swings, the SC today. I will cover that later. A firm versus 20 is very interesting. If it holds 20, we can risk that level and trade a firm. I will be watching it tomorrow, a firm. All right. So let's see anything else we really need to look at. We will go through the individual names. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I was really wanted to cover because cloud names were relatively weak today, so I don't really want to go through those. So yeah, and solar was weak. ENPH, we are still swinging ENPH, but it's holding its own. Yeah, and Chinese names were again very weak, but BABA has been trying to hold its own. If we look at the Chinese name, yeah, so you see BABA weak. PDD is little green today. I definitely like BABA, but the problem is it's so much news focused knee-jerk moves that make any kind of swing on BABA a pain. But this 87 level is key for us to watch on BABA in coming days. Yeah, nothing else really impressive. Neo is heavy, not interested there. So yeah, so that was the few things I wanted to talk about for the market analysis. Let's look at some individual names quickly before we go into our day trading recaps. Let's go. So IWM as well, a mid cap, decent up 0.45% today, bouncing from this support. This clear level that we drew when we talked on our last market analysis video, 175s. If it bounces, can definitely see a bigger move on the small caps. IWF, growth sector, which considers of all the growth names. Let's look at what names are in IWF. So it's mostly Apple, Microsoft, those big names, and then we have other smaller names there. Okay, 10-year yield we already covered. Bonds we covered. Okay, let's talk about Apple today. Apple, guys, is bouncing from a decent support, 174 area, And today I will talk in the trade recaps. Apple was a good long based upon the levels I gave, and you can stay around and watch our trade recaps, and then I will show how we long this Apple. But definitely there is a good support here if Apple wants to bounce a little bit more. We have tested it few times. If the market is strong tomorrow, in case the yields fail or VIX fails further, we'll look for Apple to bounce further. Microsoft was relatively weak. Right now the level we need to watch on Microsoft is 315. And then upside we need to watch tomorrow is over 318 for a long bias push to 320 and higher. Netflix is one we are swinging today. It was a green trade for us in the morning. I will show you the our trade in the next section, and how we long Netflix. Why I long Netflix? Reason being, a tested support at this area and this area of 378, 380 area, clear support. Of course, we need a little more consolidation, right? But that's why we size smaller, because if the market bounces and the communication sector bounces, we can definitely see a bigger move on the Netflix. Nvidia is, let's look at Nvidia quickly here. Let me close the alert lines. So Nvidia is nicely consolidating in this, you see 3 days in the row. So it has been making 421 highs, 421 highs. Today it got out of that 421. Tomorrow, if it holds this 421, that's what we will risk for a push towards 430. So I like this consolidation. I would like to see a higher candle open and higher candle open and holding this 420 level tomorrow. AMD we already discussed in the semiconductor section. SMH still bearish, but saw some strength today. Maybe there's no strength tomorrow, I don't know, but if there is some strength, it definitely has a room to move. Meta is a trade versus 300 cycle level, guys. Right now, this is another swing name that we took in our community, and I will talk about in a bit. So Meta definitely showing some strength. Google 128 is the key level to bounce. Holds 130. We can definitely push towards our daily 13 EMAs or 8 or 9 EMAs. So there's a lot of EMA confluence up here. So there's a room enough to move towards 133 before it faces any resistance or rejection. So we will see. We always like to look at the daily candles, guys. So when you look at the daily candles, weekly candles, apologies, there was a typo there. So what I meant was weekly candles. Then you can always bias based upon the previous week's lows and see if your weekly candle holds that previously week lows for a move back higher. So then we can trade versus those weekly low candles. As you see, last week's lows were around 129.30s. That's what we want to see hold. If that holds on Google can push a little bit more. Not a lot of room, but definitely has a little bit of room. I will rather focus on the names like Netflix, Microsoft, AMD for a bigger bounce. And yes, Amazon, I love Amazon, bouncing from weekly 2021 EMA. Held the last week's lows, held the last week's close, and really like for a bigger move here into the higher EMAs if the market stays strong. So we have a clear level of support, 128.50, 160. Tomorrow, we don't know what happens tomorrow, so we can only analyze based upon the probability and our plan based upon the variables. So we would have to see how the VIX and the market reacts tomorrow, but all I'm looking at is a risk level if it gives us. Tesla weekly bouncing from 2021 EMA. It's important to note that it tried to close over this support of 243, 242 area. Still bearish, but can definitely push towards 250 before a rejection. So guys, overall, the market is still bearish, right? So I'm not saying that we are out of the woods. But what I am looking at today is that we definitely have a room for small relief bounce, right? But again, there is still some critical factors which are not aligning. That's why even though I have some overnight positions, overnight swings, I am not going full size yet. It's not a time to go full size yet. Being cautious and been trying to trade with smaller sizes till we get the market back. So we want to see all the indicators bullish. We want to see VIX fade. We want to see US dollar weak. We want to see 10 years yields failing, maybe some bounce on the bonds. So that's what we need to see for a convincing reversal place. But I definitely like few sectors like banks and semis, though we discussed today. Maybe we'll do another recap mid of the day, Thursday, and see how the market is doing based upon today's analysis. But that's about it, guys. Make sure you have all your variables. You are watching everything, especially if you are a swing trader or investor. You are watching everything, all the variables that I talk about. If you need more help, you need to have some team to discuss your swing trading, investing, more ideas, you can come to my community. We trade together, and I always help, always try to share, never give a financial advice, but always try to educate with what I see in the market from my experience. All right, guys, now we will move into our trade recaps for today. So guys, this morning there was not a lot of news. There was not really any market, because everybody knows how I like to play. I need to have my news plays, gappers up and gap downs, and then I have my market plays. So accordingly, that's how I make my watch list to trade for the day. So this morning there was not really bunch of news that I was really convincing to me to take a position. So we mostly focused on our market plays, and we'll see how we did that. So as always, we had our watch list ready this morning, early pre-market, waking up, going through my normal routine, sharing it with my community. Went through the key news. Amazon had a good news because of the artificial intelligence, and that's why Amazon was the focus. Netflix, Walt Disney, the names were on focus because Hollywood writers reached the labor agreement, so we were focusing on that. NEO was down because of some 3 billion, and Nike, HP, Dow, AZN, and few others. All right, the same news. Chinese names won on watch again. Baba was on a big watch, even though most of the folks bounced Baba. I was watching it, what it's going to do, but it held the pre-market lows. My bias was neutral to bearish because it was middle of nowhere. It was in the gap already. There was a gap down, there was a gap up, another gap today. So there was, it was kind of, you didn't have risk levels, but it was a good, Baba was nicely done by Win in community. He saw the pre-market lows holding, and then that's how some of the traders traded it long versus this pre-market low. The setup was gap down long versus the pre-market lows. So that was decent, but anyways, that's why I had the Chinese names on my watch list. I want to be anything that's moving. I want to make sure we are watching it, my community is watching it, my Twitter followers are watching it, so that we can capitalize on any news that's coming up. And Apple news was on the watch as well, because there was a 2315 target by Morgan Stanley reiterated, and it had some bullish news. So Apple was also focused. Good thing about Apple is it respected our levels this morning, and I was on the voice guiding about the apples. And here are my levels again, guys. Today, if I want to show you how the levels on Apple pan out, you can clearly see the level on Apple 173.70 right here. Let's see. Apple 173.70 right here was our level, and that's where Apple bounced. This morning the setup was on the whole market gap down. Now it's a gap down. What personality is going to show? Is a gap down short or gap down long? So initially, only thing I was kind of bearish biased first was Tesla, but when it held, we went long on Tesla. But everything else, Apple held the pre-market lows, so I kept repeating that pre-market lows is important. The levels I gave, if you see here on the Apple, they worked like charm. 173.70 and 174 levels worked like charm for long on Apple. So you can see here you can see, right? So levels. So that's what exercise I do in the morning, get the levels for everyone so we can trade and together share some ideas, risk reward, and find those kind of trades there. Okay, so that was a good one. So was watching Disney, Nike, Netflix. Netflix was a long right at open for us. So Netflix was a long right at open for us because of the news, and it was relatively stronger than all the other names. It was relatively stronger than all the other names. It was the first 10 minutes trade for us to push into 186. I had a full size when it pushed into 386. from 382. I took out half. When it dipped back, I closed half. But end of the day, I saw the strength in the Netflix. I like the daily and I longed it for an overnight trade. We'll see how that pans out tomorrow. But Netflix was a good win. If you see, you can see my commentary here. Watch pullbacks, long some earlier. Long was working, $4 in the long, and it held 3450 clouds and like the setup on the daily, and it was my overnight. So Netflix was a good win right at open, guys. So another winner this morning was our Tesla play. As I told you, I was on a voice, so I cannot show a lot of those things that I continuously talk about, because when I'm on voice, I look at 10 tickers, what is moving, what is strong, what is weak, so that we can trade to share with my community that what I am seeing, right? So Tesla, I was watching closely in the morning, right? So Tesla kind of first, I'll show you what I saw on Tesla, right? So this was my risk. Right at open, I was watching it, and when it dipped right under 240, my level, then I was bearish bias on it, right? But then it reclaimed 240. Remember, a support reclaimed, and then SPY bounced as well. QQQ bounced as well. And that was the time when I said watch if holds 238 for a B minus long setup. Why B minus? I'll talk about at end of this video. I'll show you how to grade your setups A, B, and C. And I was long, scalping long. Then all day guidance, I wanted this 244 break. Then there was a seller at 245. So 245 calls went 30% in first half an hour. So there is a trade first half an hour, right? 10 a.m. trades. And then we trade for rest of the day. And then held rest of Tesla because trend held, and I was guiding all day. We saw some sellers at 25. I even posted this breakout setup, consolidation setup. You can see clearly here, and let me show you after. So before and after, this is before and after on Tesla, right here. So you can clearly see what was this breakout from here to here, and we held our longs, and we even added more into the longs, and Tesla provided us nice midday trade. At end of the day, I held my Tesla, and my Tesla is right now, it's up from our entry of the morning entry on the Tesla. It's up decent there. Here you go, 248 from the morning entry of 241s. Decent $7 so far. Swinging Tesla. Hopefully will do good for us and every whole community, and it'll be really good. So that was another winning trade, guys. Nvidia, I was on the voice today. Another win on Nvidia. I saw the strength on Nvidia in the morning relative to a lot of things I cannot show you now because I'm live on the voice, and I see and I guide and I tell everyone what I'm seeing. So Nvidia was longed as mentioned on the voice. Again, today's was all about the pre-market lows, guys. That was your support. Pre-market. I keep repeating it. The concept. It started as a B minus, but it turned bullish. Okay, longed. Right after 10 minutes, I said I longed. I want to see the 420 break. And from that long, when I mentioned at 416, we went to 425 for nice move. And then we were watching for all day for 425. Nvidia, I cut rest of my piece when it broke the trend, but I had a good green on it in the morning, right? So SMCI was on my watch. I could not get entry, right? So you can see SMCI. That's why we went through all the semis on our talk. Okay, let's look at Amazon. So Amazon, I liked Amazon. Why I liked Amazon? Because I'm going through all the tickers. I want where I see the relative strength. Amazon held pre-market lows, got our EMA clouds. Look here, got our EMA clouds, broke the pivot resistance that I gave in the morning, held the pre-market lows, right? So I said, Amazon. Okay, let's see if I can show you guys. But anyways, So Amazon initially was, so this was the setup. I already shared that I'm long. We were long right at 130. We were long at 130. I told to have stops under 130 because of this consolidation. And then slowly, it was moving slowly. And then it just went boom over that 131 level. Went to 131.81, almost $2. And we ended, and I said I'm holding. And then we were locking on the way, and then I am swinging Amazon. So another win, guys, another win, swing green on Amazon from $130, $2 in the green. Reason being, I stick with my system. My system was saying the pre-market lows is the risk, getting over EMA Clouds, getting over pre-market highs. So now the daily is nice, beautiful consolidation on Amazon, guys. So let's keep an eye on it. So yeah, these were the trades, guys. Did not take too much because then the market was choppy. Market was choppy rest of the day. So we were mostly green in the morning, right? If you see the morning polls, everybody was green. 52% was green. Only 16% people were red, and rest were flat because they're learning those setups. End of the day, 60% people were green, and some were flat and a little more red because of the chop, right? So, but the overall, the point is, as a community, to grow, to understand, to learn the setups, to make it repeatable, not lose. One thing is for sure, the way I teach it, way I make sure nobody loses. Nobody will. You don't make money, that's no problem, but you should not lose money. If anybody was trying to short today, right, which no one in our room was, even though it was choppy, but we were not losing money. We were with the system. What are the gradings? Okay, here are the grade setups that I talk about, right? Against the trend is always B plus, B minus, C. With the trend is A plus, A minus. Now in those A setups, is the chart good? Are you looking at a pattern? Is the option flow coming in? Is it a support and resistance? If it's a penny stock, does it have a dilution? Is it liquid enough? Does it have a short interest? And all these things combine to give us a grading of our setup. So start grading your setups, guys. Stay repeatable. Keep doing it. If you are struggling, having a problem, come join us in our community. We will trade together, or you can ask me in comments, or you can ask me any question you have on Twitter, on my website. I have all the resources. I will help you. All right, guys. Video went a little longer. I'm going to cut it right here. But another good day. Will be interesting day tomorrow. We'll see if market shows us as any follow through. Whatever it is, we will hit it, and we will stay strong. Keep grinding, keep learning. Subscribe, share my channel so that more people can benefit, and see you tomorrow. All right, guys, later.